We definitely need to do something about all of this. Hiya my lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Amy and I am a cruelty-free makeup enthusiast and blogger. You can only see my hands right now because I don't have my makeup done. I'm so sorry. I need a manicure really bad, but just ignore those. So today is going to be an eyeshadow palette collection and declutter. I have, you know, the sweetest friends, family, husband, subscribers that send me lots of palettes, and my collection is quite large. It's not extreme. I'm not a minimalist, but I do have a lot right now and I would like to reduce it. I just feel like there are just too many and I'm not able to give enough love to all of my palettes. And just a couple of disclaimers here, but please do not get offended by the size of my collection or what I'm decluttering, because sometimes I just find that I have too many things even if I love a product very much. So please do not get upset if I declutter one of your favorite products. Disclaimer 2, I just ask that you do not request that I send any of these palettes to you. I will leave a link to my Poshmark down below. Most of the things I am decluttering will be on Poshmark. So let's get started. Let me show you something that I've kept the packaging for. This is my Glam Light Cake palette. This is the cutest packaging I've ever seen. It looks like a little easy bake oven. And then it comes out like this, and then it's an adorable cake, and it makes me want to eat cake. I love cake. I'm not sure about all of you guys, but this is just such a beautiful, bright, and happy palette. Look how fun these colors are. So I love just how bright and fun, you know, you have the lime green, you have the aqua, the bright yellow, purples, blues, and some neutrals at the bottom left-hand corner as well. So I definitely am holding on to this. I think this is really great, and I think it's such a unique concept, and I love the quality of Glam Light. So I'm looking forward to adding more products from this company into my collection in the future. Let's talk about the company that I have the most palettes from, and that is Colourpop. I have a lot of Colourpop palettes. So let's go over these. This is going to be really hard because I do really like Colourpop. I've recently, over the summer, I did declutter a couple of their palettes already, but I think I need to wean it down just a little bit more. This is the Bird of Paradise. This is a really fun corally peach, and this was an Ulta exclusive. I just think these colors are so much fun and bright. I've been using this during the summer. I think it's a great summer palette, and I love the reflection on this too with the feathers. How pretty is that? So I'm going to hold on to this one. And then I have my Night Owl. This was another exclusive to Ulta. I think this is when one of their little birdie palettes kind of came out. They did a whole birdie collection, but I love, again, these really pretty bronze details in the feathers. And this beautiful palette right here. Love a good bronze palette. This shade Bird Brain is still my absolute favorite in this palette. So pretty. Here's where we kind of hit a snag here, because my Going Coconuts I feel is so similar to my Night Owl. And it's such a beautiful palette. I feel this leans a little bit more cool toned, where my Night Owl leads a little bit more warmer toned. And I like them both so much. But do I need both of them? What do you guys think? Right now, I think I'm going to hold on to both because I can't. I like them too much. I don't know what it is. They're so similar, but they're different. I have a problem with saying, oh, you know, but these undertones are so different. So this is the Mint to Be palette. This definitely is not going anywhere. This is a beautiful minty palette. I love the shades in here. You get a pretty good amount of depth in here too, from super light to more on the medium side, so I really like this. I'm glad that this is in my collection. I love mixing this palette with the Lilac You A Lot palette. This is a beautiful light purpley toned palette. I just think the shades are so stunning in here. I love using these palettes together because you could get a really pretty pastel kind of look with these. I do have the two palettes from the Frozen 2 collection. I have the Anna and Elsa, and I actually like these palettes. I know that they didn't go over very well with reviews. The Anna one's definitely my favorite because you have the blues, the silver, but also these pops of berry, which is really pretty. So I like wearing this in the winter time. And then the Anna palette is a little bit more fall toned, which I think is quite fun. So I'm gonna see this fall how much I actually use this one and see if I really stick with it. If not, then maybe when I do another declutter, come maybe January, we'll see if I'll declutter this one. But for right now, I'm going to hold on to both of these as well. Now here's the Blue Moon. I remember when this first came out, I thought this was one of the prettiest things I've ever seen. It's such a beautiful palette. I'm not using so many blues though that I think I still need this anymore. I do get compliments every time I do wear it. I just don't think I need this. I have other blues in my collection that I really, really like. So I think I'm gonna pass with this one. So yeah, we're gonna get rid of that one. We're gonna sell that one. And then these are the Aura and Out and In a Trance palettes. These were part of their tie-dye collection, and they're very fun. I love the color stories in here. I love that you have chartreuse. Oh, I love chartreuse, such a unique shade. Oh, and if you heard that sneeze, that was my husband in the background. And then the In a Trance, you get these kind of blues and the purples and pink. I have to say, I am a little disappointed in these two palettes. I did want to do a review, but I feel like time has passed now. People have kind of moved on. They've done other collections. I don't know if I want to keep these or not. The thing is, they have these beautiful Super Shock shades that are quite pretty. Maybe... let's put these in the maybe pile. That's what I'll do. I'll put these in the maybe pile. Okay, so these right here, anything in these kind of packaging, I think I'm going to keep all of these. So I have the Whatever palette, another really pretty kind of fall toned. You have the burgundies and the gold in there. Super stunning. Love this palette. Then the Good as Gold, absolutely love gold shades. So really pretty again right there. I'm gonna keep that. The Wild Nothing I recently did a review with, and it's a decent palette. I think it's really fun. It's a little bit more icy, and there's a little bit more kind of peachy shades, tangerine, and then the browns. So it's pretty. I like to use it with other palettes, so I'm gonna hold on to this one as well. This is the Good Sport. I wish that they kept this around because this is probably in my top 10 favorite palettes of all time. I love the color story to this. It's just so beautiful. This shade Rookie I've talked about so much, so I'm so sorry to repeat myself if you've watched my other palette videos before, but it's a burnt orange with blue and purple reflex. It's just so unique, and I love this, and I can't wait to get this on my eyes this fall. And then the last 12 pan Colourpop palette that I have is the Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon palette. I love Sailor Moon so much. I was such a big fan growing up. I died when this collection came out, and my husband was so sweet. He bought this palette for me because he knew how excited I was. We went to Ulta together, you know, before quarantine happened, and we picked this up, and such a fun, pretty. You have your neutrals at the top, and then you have some pastels at the bottom. So definitely holding on to this one. Now the Disney Designer Collection, this is the Midnight Masquerade. I think this is a beautiful palette that didn't get enough love, I think. It kind of came and went. But I love the shades in here. I think these are really, really quite stunning. But you know what? I think it's time to just move on. I'm a huge Disney fan, by the way. Love, love, love Disney. But that one, I think it's time to go. There's really gorgeous shades, but I'm just not using it enough. Then we have our 18 pan Colourpop palette. This is the Truly Madly Deeply, another Ulta exclusive, but I think this is on the Colourpop website now. I do highly recommend this palette. I think it's really beautiful. You do have some glitters in here. I'm not the biggest fan of pressed glitters, but I don't mind having a few in my collection. I really like that there's some mauve tones. You have some peach in here, and then you have some taupes at the bottom, which I think is quite pretty. So for the moment, I'm definitely going to hold on to this because I really like it. And then lastly for Colourpop, this is the So Jaded palette. This is the collaboration with Kathleen Lights. I think this is a stunning jewel-toned palette. Again, really, really beautiful. Look at that design on the inside, but I love these shades. I'm not the biggest fan of really big palettes. I have a couple in my collection, but this is one of my favorite biggest palettes definitely ever made. I think that it's just got such a great array of warmer tones and cooler tones, and you can really do all sorts of looks with this palette. So definitely holding on to this one. Love that one. This is my Covergirl True Naked. This is the Peach Punch palette, which is really cute. These are surprisingly super smooth and buttery. I was pleasantly surprised when I picked this up. It's not the best palette I've ever tried, but it's really fun. It smells really good too. Definitely smells like peaches. I want to hold on to this for a little bit longer because I want to do a one look, one brand video with Covergirl. So this is going to be held on to for a little bit longer. Probably when I do my next declutter, though I may pass it on. Then I have all my e.l.f. stuff. So e.l.f. is so awesome. I love e.l.f. So here we go. I mean, they're also a completely vegan brand too, which I love. That it's so accessible at the drugstore. So these are all my e.l.f. palettes. I have these little quads that they've recently come out with. These are their bite-sized eyeshadow palettes. They're $3, and I think they are such a steal. So this is the pumpkin pie one. This one's actually one of my favorites. So pretty. And then we have the cream and sugar. This one's like a light neutral one. And this is the rose water one. This is a super pretty one there. And then acai, which leans a little bit more bluish purple. And then lastly, this one is the truffles one. So this one's a bit deeper with that really pretty silver in there. So I'm going to hold on to all these. I think these are really great. If you're looking for something that's inexpensive but works really well, highly recommend these little bite-sized palettes from e.l.f. So definitely keeping those as well. I'm going to keep my e.l.f. J Kiss palette as well. You know, it's funny, I'm a little disappointed with the reds and the purple. So this column and this column were kind of disappointing, but the orange, the yellow, the green, and the blue were really, really pretty. Oh, you can see my face. So really beautiful. This shade Bailey, too, is one of the most stunning blues in my collection, and I just think these are really pretty. And it's the only rainbow palette that I have in my collection, too, so for now I'm going to hold on to it. Plus, I decorated it. I put my kitty names on it, and all that, so I think it's really cute. My one palette from Linda Hallberg. So Linda Hallberg is a Swedish makeup artist, and I think she is stunning and so talented, and her makeup company really, really drew me in. I think they're so unique. However, I am really disappointed with these shadows, unfortunately. I found the metallics especially to be very, very dry and not very easy to work with. The color story is really unique and pretty, but because I don't like using it, because it's so hard to work with, I think I'm just gonna let it go. And that's hard for me because this is such a beautiful palette. I love how slim it is too. And the packaging I love. This is actually Linda's face. I think it's such a cool concept. But yeah, this spectral palette, I think it's just gotta go. So that one's moving on as well. I have two palettes from Juvia's. The first one is the Nomad. Oh, I love this one. First of all, this packaging. There's something, I think it's because it almost looks like an O around her. It reminds me of The Wizard of Oz. I don't know, that's one of my top 10 favorite movies, so I think that's why. I love the color story in here because it's kind of a grungy, deep neutral palette. So pretty. And I love these greens on the side here. Oh, this yellow. Perfect. So Juvia's has really good eyeshadow palettes. And then I have the Tribe, which again, you'll see a theme. I love greens. Green eyeshadows are some of my absolute favorites. So the Tribe is so unique. You have this bright lime right here, but then it gets pretty deep with the blues and the oranges. And you have the brown at the corner, which I think rounds out the palette quite nicely. So this I'm also holding on to. Love my Juvia's palettes. And I have my PYT palettes. So this is hard for me because PYT was the first brand that ever sent me PR, so I have this kind of sentimental connection to it. This is the No BS eyeshadow palette. I think they've renamed these. I know they've renamed a bunch of their products. I think this is just called the Cool Toned palette now, the Night and Day Cool Toned palette. I do still use this, and if you could see, I actually wore this a ton. So for sentimental reasons, I think I'm going to hold on to both of these. And then this is the Warm Day to Night eyeshadow palette, which is really pretty. So I like it because of how compact it is. If you could see, I could fit it in my hand. So you can really, when you're traveling, I mean, I know people aren't really traveling now, but if you have something like you have to run out the door to work or something, and need something really simple, these I really like. So I'm going to hold on to them. I know I don't need them in my collection, but it's that sentimentality, and they're a really beautiful, clean formula as well. I have two Pacifica palettes. Pacifica has upped their game with palettes recently. I've been pleasantly surprised. This is the Cosmic Reflect Hemp Infused Eyeshadows. It's just so funny because like the little cannabis leaves are all over the place. This came out last year when, you know, cannabis makeup everything started, that trend started. This is a beautiful palette. I actually really love these shades. I did do a review of this. I think these are so easy to blend and I love the color story here, so I'm gonna hold on to this. Cool little fact that this is actually completely recyclable, which I like. In the brush in here too, sorry, going back to this brush, this is a really, really good brush. Most of the time when there's brushes and palettes, I'm like, what a waste of space, but it's a good brush. The next one I have is the Magical Eyeshadows. This was a super cute, oh, it's called Animal Magic, excuse me. This is a super cute palette. Again, I really love the concept of this. It has all different animals on it. Some of them are kind of mystical, magical animals as well, like unicorns and dragons and stuff. But I think this is such a beautiful palette. Again, cool tones, warm tones. You have a nice variety here. This hummingbird shade really drew me in. I think that's quite pretty. I don't think I still need this though in my collection. I really like it. I love the colors, but I just think I have so many palettes. This is hard. Hold on. Do I need this? This is the struggle, guys. Let's put this in the maybe. We're gonna put this in the maybe pile. Oh, KVD. All right, I have some KVD palettes here. I don't mind promoting KVD anymore now that Kat Von D is no longer associated with the brand. I know her name is still on some of the packaging, but that doesn't really bother me. Here is the Shade and Light Eye Contour palette. I actually panned a previous palette of this because I used it when I did makeup on other people. I've done a little bit of freelance kind of makeup on friends, family, and some shoots, and actually a short film as well. So this is really great, but you know what? I haven't been using it lately, and I would rather someone use it before it goes bad. I just find that I'm turning to so many other palettes now, whereas this used to be a staple, it's not anymore. So I'm gonna let this one go. Then I have the Lolita palette. I love this mauve berry toned palette right here. I love how much depth you get. So because of that, I really like the variety in it, and it performs pretty well. So I'm gonna hold on to this. I then have the extension palette. This is the Lolita Por Vida, which is a really pretty palette as well. This one's kind of newer in the past 6 months to my collection. I think you have really pretty purples in here, you have the browns, but then a couple of duochromes, and then these right here in the center, well, you have a glitter in the center, but these two shades are their cream foil kind of textures. They're so blinding, and I know I'm not really swatching other things, but do you see that? These are, I mean, these are beautiful. So anyway, because of that, I'm definitely holding on to this. I think it's a really, really pretty palette. I have two Kaleidos palettes here. Kaleidos is such an interesting brand to me. So many other cruelty-free YouTubers have been using this brand. So last year when there was a big sale for Black Friday, I hopped on these two palettes. I just thought they were so cool. I love that the inside matches the outside packaging. So this is the Cyber Bronze one. Just so pretty. I'm definitely going to hold on to this. Then this is the Futurism 5. This is the Electro Turquoise. This is a really unique palette. I think the colors are stunning in here, and Kaleidos has a really nice formula. I have to be realistic with myself and say I already have some bright, colorful palettes. Do I need this one in addition to it? I think I'm okay with passing on this palette, so I am going to declutter this one. I have a bunch of Tarte palettes here too. So back in the day, I used to have a ton of Tarte and Too Faced. That was like, those were my two main brands, and so many things have changed since then. So this is the Tartist Pro. This is one of their more OG palettes. I think this is quite pretty. I got it in a BoxyCharm, and I used it twice. I thought it was fine. The Tarte formula in these pans are not my favorite. They're not my be-all, end-all formula. And because I only used it twice, I'd rather kind of pass it on to someone who's going to use it and enjoy it. So I am going to declutter this. Then this one is, I believe it's called their Sun Dreams and Daydreams and Sunbeams. I can't remember, it doesn't have the name on the back of the eyeshadow palette, but this is from their Sugar Rush line, which is their also completely vegan line. That's a sister brand to Tarte. I think this is such a cute palette. I love how small it is. I think you get a really good variety of shades. If I didn't have that cake palette from Glam that has so many similar colors, I would definitely hold on to this, but I think because there's some similarities there, I'm okay with passing this on. So we're going to declutter that as well. Then there's the Fall Feels palette. This one is so cute with the little plaid felt fabric here, is so adorable. This actually works really nicely. The quality of this palette is pretty good, and I think they still have this on their website, and they always have it on sale. You could probably get it for under 20 bucks or around that much. This really pretty blush in here, and then all these different shades. Super nice for when you just want to run out the door. You have a couple of mattes, but then most of the rest are shimmers. So I think you're really good to go with a palette like this. I know I don't need it, but I really like it, so I'm going to hold on to it. Then we have the Love, Trust, and Fairy Dust. How cute is this packaging? This is so adorable. You can actually still get this on their website. So I love it because you have the neutrals here, and then you have some more mauve-y shades. And I know I have a bunch of mauves. You'll see that coming up. But there's something about this with the highlighter too in the middle. I just really like this palette. It brings me a lot of joy when I look at it, so I'm still going to hold on to it. Then there's the Make Believe in Yourself. This is when the brands were doing a lot of festival collections. I love the packaging of this, and I do love the shades inside as well. So you have the beautiful highlighter, and then all these really almost fairy vibes going around the sides. I really think this is a great palette. If I ever want color that's not too in your face, this is the palette I always reach for. So definitely holding on to this one. Then this is my Tarte Unleashed palette. A lot of people think it's called the Young, Wild, and Cruelty-Free because it's on the top here, but it's actually called the Unleashed palette. This is another wonderful palette from Tarte. It's their all-vegan palette as well. This made me fall back in love with Tarte eyeshadows because I thought this was so well done. You have your cool tones again and your warm tones, a nice variety. These blend out so nicely, and they have the cutest names. So they're all animal pun names. So things like Totally, Irrelevant, Iguana Love You, things like that. Super cute. So definitely holding on to this. This is a really good palette. I don't think it's available anymore. It might not be, but I really like this, so I'm holding on to it. These two, I think I could actually let these go. This is kind of hard. This is my Tarte High Tides and Good Vibes palette. Look at the cute little turtle. Oh, it's so hard. I think I'm gonna let this go, but it's the packaging that gets me. But isn't this such a pretty palette? I really like this. And then the glitters that go down the middle. You have more of these warmer bronzy shades, and then you have this turquoise and the bright pink and the glitters. But I think I'm okay to pass this on. I think I just have better blues and bronzes in my collection, but it's hard because look how cute that is. But someone is really going to love that. Then we have the Busy Gal Goals. This is the Eye and Cheek palette. This was really cute. This came out this year, and I really love it more for the blush and the highlighter in the palette. The eyeshadows are perfectly fine, but there's nothing really spectacular about them. Because of that, I think I'm going to let it go. I think it's silly to hold on to this palette just for the blush and the highlighter. I already have blush and highlighter from Tarte that I already like, so I think someone will really enjoy this. So I'm going to pass this one on as well. Ooh, Dominique Cosmetics. I'm so excited. Okay, I have two Dominique Cosmetics palettes. These palettes are so luxurious. When I feel them, they feel so heavy and well made. This is the Latte 2. I love this palette. I love the pink, the strawberry milk shade as a blush too. Such pretty shades, definitely keeping this. And then I have the Celestial Storm palette, which is another really beautiful, unique color story, I think. I love that bright blue and then the violet in here. So pretty. Holding on to that as well. Shall we talk about my Nabla palettes next? Let's talk about Nabla because I'm not getting rid of any of these. I love them way too much. Nabla is one of my favorite brands. This is the Soul Blooming palette. I love the packaging, love the color story. Just gorgeous. Absolutely keeping. Then we have the Dreamy 2. Guys, if you want something, these aren't glitters, but they're so shiny and shimmery in this palette. They are so beautiful. You only get a couple mattes in here. Yeah, I think you only get 3. The rest are more these really, really beautiful metallics. It's a great companion palette. I absolutely love it. And then here's a palette. Over the summer, I did do a kind of a minor declutter with a bunch of different products. I was including this Poison Garden palette. Reason being because this blue in here is kind of disappointing, but upon thinking about it, I like the other shades in the palette too much to get rid of it. So if there's 1 or 2 duds in the palette, that's fine. This palette doesn't perform as well as my other Nabla palettes. I do have to admit that they are a bit harder to blend, but still this Berry Bite in here and this Honey shade, they're just stunning colors, and I like the rest of the colors as well. So I'm gonna hold on to it. And then there's the Secret palette. This one is my favorite Nabla palette. I think it's so versatile. You can use it through all different seasons, and I just think it is gorgeous. This Rosemary shade in here, maybe it's because my mom's name is Rosemary, so I have like a soft spot for it, but it's so beautiful. I love it. You have a lot of good neutrals in here, which I think is why I like it too. Aether Beauty. So I'm not going to get rid of any of my Aether Beauty palettes as well. I'm a big fan of Aether Beauty. I did let go of their Crystal Grid Gemstone palette over the summer when I did a smaller declutter, just because it was all shimmers. But these palettes are really beautiful. I really like these, and I've been using them a bunch. My favorite still is this Rose Quartz one right here. I just love the shades in it. This one is the Summer Solstice, which is a really great dupe for a lot of the warmer tone palettes from some bigger brands. So if you want a dupe for like Tarte's Tartelette Toasted and then the Naked Heat from Urban Decay, this is a really great, more ethical and clean vegan dupe. So this one is the Amethyst palette, which is all purples, very pretty. This one's probably my least favorite out of the bunch, the Amethyst one. It is on the darker side, so I find that I get a very dark, sultry look every time I use it as opposed to a lighter look. And this one is their newer one. This is the Joshua Tree palette, which I did a review on as well. So pretty, great variety of matte shades in here. So I love these, and they're really cool. If you notice, they don't have any mirrors because the packaging is completely recyclable. No magnets either. I think it's a really cool, unique brand. I do have an affiliate code with them, so I'll leave that information down below. Feel free to use it if you want, but don't feel any pressure to use it. But if you're ever interested, I do have that as well. Let's talk about ABH. ABH was my favorite brand at one point when it came to eyeshadows. So I have a bunch of ABH palettes. So we have my Modern Renaissance, which has been beat to death, but there's something about hitting pan and using things that you love that there's just something about it that's very satisfying to me. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I love this palette. I think it's so beautiful, and I definitely want to pan it eventually, like hit pan in every shade. So I'm kind of low-key doing that, but I don't want to put too much pressure on myself to pan everything. The next one is my second oldest palette to Modern Renaissance. This is my Subculture palette. I know a lot of people don't like this palette. I think it's a beautiful palette. It's very dark, I think. Maybe that's why some people have some blending issues with it, but I find that with a really light hand, it's very easy to use and blend out with very pretty colors. So again, a very fall tone palette. I know I have another palette in my collection from Aroma that's quite similar to this, but I want to see how much I can use this in the fall and winter, and then maybe at the end I might finally let it go because it is starting to get old. But I think both these palettes I want to try to pan as much as possible because they are really good palettes. The next is the Soft Glam. So Soft Glam is such a pretty palette, but you know what I noticed? There's a lot of duplicate shades that's in Modern Renaissance. And honestly, I have so many other palettes that are kind of similar to this that I'm gonna let it go. I can't believe I'm saying it either. I know. Who am I? What am I doing? Then there's the Jackie Aina palette. I love this palette so much. I think the color story is so beautiful. This was such an underrated palette. It definitely deserved much more love. Incredibly beautiful, and I wore this at a bunch of weddings last year. But you know, I do have similar shades in other palettes, particularly with these 6 shades over here. So for that reason, I'm actually going to pass this on as well. Then I have the Pro palettes, the Norvina Pro palettes. I remember when I first saw these things and I'm like, these are ridiculous. No one needs these. The colors are kind of crazy, but I have to say, I like the formula in these more than these. So I can't believe I'm saying that again. Who am I? But these are really beautiful. This is the Pro Volume 1. So you have a lot of purples in here. And again, these are all vegan palettes as well. These perform so well. They're so easy to use. The metallics in these aren't as good as the other ABH palettes, but the mattes, oh, the mattes are magical. So I love these palettes. I remember when I first saw this thinking, it looks like 2 different palettes, but they go really well together. So this I'm absolutely keeping. I love it so much. This one was my favorite. This is the Volume 3. I love it because it kind of reminds me of fall again, but you have these really bright, almost neon shades in here. Super stunning. So I want to use this a lot more in the fall. Fall palettes are my favorite too. So I like green, grungy fall palettes. But I do like really pretty neutrals and lighter shades too, which brings me to this one. This is the Volume 4, and I think this is stunning. The reason why I'm so quick to let go of the Soft Glam is because this one, I think this is a beautiful palette. If I do block some of the bright pops of color, it does look like a very neutral palette. So I think that's why I like it so much. It's very versatile. Keeping it. Here is my one Sugar Pill palette. This is, what is this one called? I think it's called the Capsule Collection. It's the orange one. Super cute. Don't you love that idea? It looks like a pill. I think that's so funny. But really beautiful. It looks like little molecules on the inside. Pretty lighter lime greens and the yellow. This blue is stunning. And then you have some duochromes over here in the peachy shades. Holding on to this, I think this was super fun and unique. So definitely keeping. Then we have the Paradise Fallen palette from Ace Beaute. This is a really pretty gray and purple palette. Love the variations in this, holding on to this. The formula is really good with this as well. Then I have my Melt Cosmetics palette. So I love Melt. I love how unique their color stories are too. I think they put out some of the most interesting palettes on the market. Here's my most recent one. This is the Rust palette. I love the packaging on this. I did do a 3 looks 1 palette with this. I think it's absolutely stunning, and I've used this a ton, and I want to keep using it. So I don't think I'm going to get rid of any of these Melt palettes. Here's the 27. This one was kind of overshadowed by the Gemini, but it's really beautiful. I think if I had to, you know, my one gripe with it is that it doesn't have a little bit more of lighter shades in it. It's much more mid to deeper tone, but it's very pretty. You just have to incorporate another palette when using it. Then we have the Morte palette. This one is so beautiful and unique. My husband got this one for me for Christmas. I think it's so unique because you have these really pretty turquoise shades and the deep blues, the reds. Just such a stunning concept palette. Then the Gemini. Oh, this palette that I lusted over for so long. I remember when it first came out and it sold out so quickly and everyone wanted to restock, and I remember I got it on the restock. Beautiful palette, definitely holding on to this one as well. I have 3 Nomad palettes. Nomad's such a cool concept brand as well. Everything's inspired by a location. So here's my Tokyo palette, which is super cute. And then how adorable is this? So you have a lot of pretty pastels with the gray and the black, and then these topper shades all across the bottom. I love using this palette, so I'm definitely going to hold on to this one. This one is the Marrakesh palette. Again, beautiful, beautiful packaging. Love the colors in here too, so definitely going to hold on to this one as well. I love this one. Then we have the Antilles palette. This one is actually my oldest Nomad palette. It's kind of getting up there. I do think that this formula is different than my other Nomad palettes. It's just, I feel like now that time has gone on, because I have some other bright color stories, I am going to pass this on. So this one is going to be decluttered, but I love the little flamingos on it. How adorable is that? I have my one Lunar Beauty palette. This is the Moon Spell. Love how this looks like a book. The attention to detail on this is really, really stunning, and I think Manny did a great job with this. All the shade names are after famous witches in pop culture, and I love the shades in here. So definitely holding on to this. I have a bunch of beauty crop palettes. I actually had one when I did my last declutter, and then I decluttered it, but then I got it back. I decided not to declutter it. And then I added more to my collection. I like their shadows. They're just not like my absolute favorite, but they're really fun. And I never hear anyone talk about this brand. So here's the Espresso Yourself. I love the packaging. Coffee palettes get me as well. I think they're so much fun. These are infused with, I think, coffee beans. So they're supposed to help with like anti-aging or something, but it's a really pretty neutral palette. And then we have the Espresso Your Love. So this one's more of the cooler tone version with pinks and purples. I think because I have pinks and purples in other palettes, I think I'm okay with letting this one go. So we're gonna declutter that one. Then they have these that are all inspired by drinks. So we have the Sangria. This one's all purples. Very pretty. And then we have the Mojito. Because greens are my favorite colors, I loved this one. And then we have the Strawberry Daiquiri, which is like those bright strawberry shades. I don't think I have the heart to declutter these, but I'm not really reaching for them. And this one too, I kind of like how it's neutral though, and it has all the like the different coffee things. Let's put all of these in the maybe pile. That's what we'll do. These will be, here's my Aroma Black Magic palette. How beautiful is this packaging? This is the one that really looks a lot like Subculture. It's just a little bit different, and then all the shimmers at the top kind of range much differently than Subculture. But I really like this palette. I like how sleek it is. I think the formula is great. Everyone needs to check out this brand. It's a really, really cool Black-owned brand. So we're definitely holding on to that one. And then I have some colored Raine palettes as well. This is the Queen of Hearts. Guys, I know that this is an older palette, but if you can get your hands on it, it's so pretty. And it's the formula. I mean, Colored Raine has just awesome products. I've never had a product from them that I've disliked. Then there's the Beauty Rust one. This one was like a gift with purchase when I got this palette, and I do like how deep this is. It's very fallish, so I'm gonna hold on to this one as well. So definitely these two keeping for sure. I do have this palette from Lethal Cosmetics. Lethal Cosmetics is a really cool indie brand out of Germany, and I made this palette myself. They had like ideas for palettes, so I saw an idea with these concept colors, and I said, oh, that palette, I wanna make that one. So they all came in singles. I put them together with this. I love it too because you have this pretty periwinkle, you have some peachy shades, the lavenders, and then some deeper kind of purpley red shades here. So I think it's a really unique palette, and Lethal Cosmetics has a beautiful formula. Highly recommend them as well. So if you can check them out, definitely look them up. I have two palettes. It says Strobe on them, but they've rebranded to Shroud Cosmetics. This is the Creepy Cute. This is probably my favorite pastel palette in my collection. Highly pigmented. We're talking like stunning shades. I'm sorry, I have to swatch these for you because they are so pretty. But unique, bright, really smooth formula. And then there's the Divinity palette. This one is a much more faller tone as well. The orange, the purple, the greens, super pretty and easy to work with. Definitely holding on to both of these as well. Another indie brand that I love is Menagerie Cosmetics. This is their Feral palette. So beautiful. I love the art on these. This one is, or actually these are all my singles. Look how cute the little foxies and the mama fox. These are all my singles that I've put together there. And then this one is the Killer Purr, which is definitely their most neutral palette, and I think it's quite stunning. So if you want like a different kind of neutrally palette, this is a good one to go for. Then we have my Dose palettes. So We have the Mickey Mouse. This was his 90th birthday palette collection, and I used this a bunch when it first came out. You have these really cute shades here, and then this very pretty highlighter. And I love the shades in here because it's all Mickey sayings like, "Oh boy," and "let the show begin," and all these really cute things. And I'm a huge Disney fan. Some time has passed since I picked this up. I'm not using it as much as I used to, so for that reason I think I'm going to pass it on. I'm sure a Disney fan will really, really love this. These are all my 5-pan palettes from Dose. I'm not going to get rid of any of them. I have the Sassy Siennas. Pretty cool. Beautiful kind of taupey shades there. Baked Browns. I'll show these up so you can kind of see them. I love the formula on these. I know some people think they're very powdery. They're powdery, but they're not chalky. And I have to say, I really enjoy using them. This is the berry one. The Marvelous Mauves. I know I have a lot of mauves. I want to hold on to them. I really like these. And then these are the 2 newest ones that are my favorite. This is the Cutting Edge. Stunning. Olive tones. And then the Smoky Soiree. Just really pretty as well. I did a video with the 2 newest palettes, so I'll link that above as well. They perform so well. All of these are mattes except for these 2 newest palettes, and I got them in a bundle. I used to have the Blushing Berries and the Marvelous Mauves. Previously, I had depotted them and panned them several years back, but I feel like I liked them so much I wanted them back in my collection, and they have a really good sale online where you can get this whole package and you get $80 off, which I think is a really good deal for the set of these. So highly recommend Dose palettes. These are the only Too Faced palettes I have left. There's only 3 of them. I have the Hot Buttered Rum. Stunning little tiny cute package that smells delicious, and highly recommend if you could get your hands on this. This is such a good palette. Too Faced doesn't have my favorite formula. I used to have a ton of Too Faced palettes. When I first started getting into makeup, Too Faced was one of my favorite brands. I had all the chocolate palettes, thought they were great, but as time went on, I noticed that a lot of them would actually just wear off on me, because something about me doesn't really jive with the Too Faced formula, but this one, I don't know what it is. This tiny one, fantastic. I then have this really cute, this is the Sparkling Pineapple palette. This is something that I've decluttered and then it's somehow made its way back into my collection. My mom got this for me for Christmas because I decluttered it previously. I just love the shades in here. It is a very basic, kind of simple neutral palette, but these are so smooth, these kind of metallic-y shimmery shades, and it smells really good as well. I'm gonna hold on to it because I do enjoy it. Then we have their Pumpkin Spice. This was either a QVC or an HSN exclusive last year. It was really fun. It came with a really pretty lip gloss too. I just really like the shades in here. Again, very fall tones. It's these shimmers here that have a really nice smooth formula. So for that reason, I'm definitely holding on to this still because I enjoy it. I have 3 palettes from Lime Crime. This is the Venus XL1. So pretty. Love the Botticelli Venus on here. I did my sister-in-law's makeup for when she was a bridesmaid at a wedding with this palette. It came out so beautiful. Holding on to this because I love the reds in it. And then the Venus XL2 is more of a neutrally palette for Lime Crime. They normally do a lot of color. This is super pretty. I know some people thought it was boring, but I don't think this palette is boring at all. I think it's quite stunning. There's really some unique shades in here, but you have some mints, you have a lot of greens, you have some almost orangey, bronzy tones in here, and some pinks. So I think it's actually quite versatile. The only thing I would have changed about it is if they added almost like these oranges or persimmon, like a pop of that in this palette. I think it would have made it even more special. And then lastly from them, I have the Immortalis, which I think is so stunning. I love the marbleized Venus in here, and then the shades are also really pretty too. I've used this palette a bunch for cool tone looks, so I'm gonna definitely be keeping the 3 of these. And we're in the home stretch, yay, last ones. Okay, so then we have my Profusion palettes. I recently have discovered Profusion in the past about year and a half. They are awesome. If you want a really good brand that's super affordable, it's an alternative to Morphe, and I think it's totally worth it. These are their new palettes. I think these are $5, $6. This is the Bear one. This one's definitely a dupe for Soft Glam. Really pretty. These are so worth the price point. These perform better than some high-end palettes that I have. And then this is the Citrine. So if you want a alternative for like a honey or something, but with a little bit more depth, a little bit different colors, this papaya shade in here, super stunning. Highly recommend these. I'm definitely keeping these as well. I have to do a review or some looks with these because these are newer to my collection. I've already used them a couple times. And then lastly, we have the Mirage palette. This is a really pretty palette that I think came out last summer for festival season. It is a lot of shades. I think it's 35. I'm not the biggest fan of really big palettes. Again, it's funny I say that because I have those EBH Norvina palettes, but I really like this palette. And right now I'm not willing to part with it, but I think it's just so pretty. I know I kind of have some dupes, and this definitely could have been edited down, but I just like it so much. For right now, I can't get rid of it. And then lastly, we have the Love Struck, which came out around Valentine's Day, and I couldn't get my hands on it because it sold out so quickly. Oh, I'm having trouble opening it. Hold on one second. It sold out so quickly, but then they restocked it this summer, and I got my hands on it, and it is so beautiful. So I want to give this a bunch of more tries. I don't have any, thoughts on it at the moment, but I think it's super pretty. These aren't really palettes. I just wanted to show them to you. They're kind of collectible items in my collection. These are from Storybook Cosmetics. These are part of their book. They call them the Book of the Month Club, but they come out once every year. I have my Little Women one, and I'm just a really big bookish person. I'm actually named after Amy March from Little Women. My mom is a big Louisa May Alcott fan, so I love these little books here. I just wanted to show them to you. They're not going anywhere because they're kind of collector's items for me. This is the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, super pretty. By the way, if you ever want really good liquid lipsticks, Storybook makes really good ones. They are super comfortable and they last all day, and I wish they had more out there to buy because they're really nice. And then here's the newest one, the Jane Eyre. Pretty. I think the next one coming out is going to be Wizard of Oz, which I'm super excited about. And then I do have some singles I just wanted to show you. These are just kind of in my Z palette here. Don't mind the big bronzer you're going to see, but I just wanted to show them to you. These are all my Lethal singles up here, and then down here I have some Nabla singles. So I just wanted to show those to you because those are my other just like little shadows that I have in my collection. Not decluttering anything, but I thought it would just be a fun add-on to share with you all. Alrighty, my friends, so we did it. These are all the ones I'm decluttering. And then let me grab the ones that were in the maybe pile. These are all the ones from my maybe. I think we're just going to declutter all of it. Yeah. I think we're just going to declutter all of it. I can't believe I'm doing this. Okay, so all these are going to be decluttered. Thank you so much for joining me and watching this. One of my favorite things to do is watch palette collection videos, so I hope you really enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much for joining me, my friends, and until next time, remember to stay compassionate and chic. Bye!